Hi, I'm Larry Puckett, the DCC guy. Well, today we're going to pick up where we left off last week because I have another wiring project for you that uses the same locomotives that we installed speakers and sound in last week. And this one is a little project that I call my poor man's Keep Alive. So if that piques your interest, stick around for the video. In the meantime, let me remind you, hit that little red subscribe button, and when the little bell comes up, click on it and click all. Thanks now. Let's go ahead and get started with the other half of the project, completing what we started last week, because what this one is going to be focused on is showing you a trick that you can use to essentially get the same kind of performance from your locomotives as you would get from a Keep Alive or Stay Alive device installed in both locomotives. And it's based on the concept that with a standard locomotive, you're getting power pickup from, say, 8 wheels on this locomotive here. And if they hit a dirty spot in the track, that in turn is going to result in a disruption in power to your decoder. Now, if there was a way for you to increase and essentially double the number of wheels that you were getting electrical pickup from, then that would get you over these dirty spots and dead frogs and things of that nature. And that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. Because one thing you can do, and I'm going to show you this very quickly in a nutshell here, one thing that you can do to very quickly get over this problem is by simply connecting the right pickup wires on the first locomotive to the right pickup wires on the second locomotive. And then the left pickup wire on the first to the left pickup wires on the second. So what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to pick up power for both decoders from 16 wheels on F units, say, instead of picking up from just 8 on each one. So that's going to give you much better performance. It's going to spread out the power, and it's going to get you over little dirty spots. Now, if you've got a section of track that's 2 feet long and covered with scenery and paint and stuff like that, there is no Keep Alive or wiring trick that is going to get you to go over that. But on normal track with just an occasional little dead spot or dirty spot, this will help, okay? Now, I typically don't find that I need to use this kind of trick with F units and Jeeps and larger locomotives like that. Instead, I typically use it on small switchers. So those are the ones, they have a very short wheelbase. They're even more susceptible to these issues of unpowered frogs and dirty track. So that's one thing that you can keep in mind. You probably, in HO scale at least, in larger scales, are not going to use this on most of your locomotives. Just maybe a pair of SW7s, something like that, is the kind of situation where I would use this. I'm just showing you this this way because it's easier with a larger locomotive to be able to show you. So let's go ahead and zoom in here, and I'm going to show you, this is why I chose to use these 4-wire and 4-pin connectors for this installation, because I'm going to use the same set of wires to provide power connections between the two locomotives as I did to provide the sound connections between the two. And that, by the way, is why it is so easy to get power fed into your amplifier circuit on your decoder, because in this type of installation, you're going to have 2 hot wires that are connected to the track and 2 wires that are connected back to your decoder. And if you get it crossed, it's going to blow it out. Believe me, I've done it. I've done it twice with this type of situation. So heed my advice again. Remember, never try to do any of these connections. Don't put your locomotives on the track unless you've got power turned off, because all you need to do is have this little guy hit the track and it's going to zap your decoders. Or all you need to do is have them just basically touch together wrong. And because the wires are exposed, or because the contacts are exposed on the surface of this guy here, all you have to do is barely touch these two together and you will get a power connection and you'll blow a decoder. I did it that way last week, and previously, as I said, I dropped one 2-pin connector down onto the rails, and that was enough to blow the decoder. So you have to be very careful. If you try this, never make these connections on live track. Place your locomotive on the unpowered track, connect the wires or the connectors, and then turn the power on. And that way, you're not going to have any shorts like I did. So I've got to listen to my own recommendations from now on. Let's go ahead and zoom in closer, and I'll walk you through what I did exactly in order to make these connections. Let's begin by taking a look at the locomotive that will be in the lead. That's the one with the Soundtrax decoder, and that's a Soundtrax Eco PNP, plug-and-play decoder that I've used. Now, this is the one that last week we installed the decoder in and the speaker, and then ran the speaker wires back to the second locomotive to operate a second speaker back there. And in that particular case, I used a 4-wire harness. And people ask, why did you use a 4-wire harness when you only needed 2? Well, this is the reason. Now, what I've done here is I've basically taken, and let me point out, in this case, the red wire on this locomotive, on both of these locomotives, comes up from the truck, okay, where it says picked up power. And the red wire is for the right side of the truck, for the right rail. And this one here, the black wire, is on the left side of the truck for the left rail. So we have power from the right rail attached here, and the left rail attached here. And the same up front, as you can expect. We've got the red wire here and the left wire right here. What I have done then is I have simply taken the red wire from that wiring harness and attached it to the same spot as the red rail pickup wire from the truck. So it's connected right here on the decoder. Same thing with the black wire from that harness. I've connected it to the spot on the decoder where the black wire is attached from the left rail pickup. So basically then we're going to be feeding right rail and left rail power into this wiring harness. And then on the second locomotive that I showed you last week, I did the same darn thing. I took the red wire from the harness, attached it to the right rail pickup. I took the black wire from the harness and attached it to the left rail pickup here. So then we've got a wiring harness with right rail and left rail connections on it. And then when we put the two together, we're going to be picking up electricity from the left and the right rail on both locomotives, and it's going to be connected between the two locomotives. So in effect, each locomotive will be picking up from 16 wheels instead of just the 8. But at any rate then, all you have to do at this point is make this connection. And this is the point where everything is really dangerous for you. This has to be done on an unpowered track, as I've said before, because since we've got both the speaker connections and the right and left rail power connections, if you inadvertently touch those two connectors together in the wrong way, you can feed track power directly into your amplifier circuit and it will blow it. And as I said previously, I've done that at least twice. Dumb things, I knew better. I should have cut the power off to the track, but I got in a hurry. So be very careful about that. Heed my warning. I'm never going to do it again, okay? And then once they're together, you know, and the connection has been made, then you can turn your track power on and you'll be ready to run. And it will be very much like you have a keep alive in each locomotive, as it will glide over the dirty track. Because basically then, you're going to be picking up track power off of an area approximately 14 inches long instead of 7 inches long for each locomotive. So it's going to allow you to get over those dirty spots, get over those dead spots, dead frogs, things of that nature, without having a keep alive in your locomotives. And that's going to save you money, just like using a sound decoder and a non-sound decoder together can cut your cost for your DCC installations. Okay, at this point, what I'm going to do is put the shells on the locomotives, and we're going to move over here to the track. I'm going to keep the power off, make the connections, and then we'll go ahead and give these a test drive. You can see how they perform. You can hear the sound. Okay, here we are in Monroe Yard on the Piedmont Southern. I've got the shells back on the two locomotives. They're sitting here on the track idling away. So let me put my mic down next to the track, and you'll be able to hear the locomotives idling, and we'll play the horn, the bell, and then I'll run them up and down the track a little bit and let you hear the sound and see the motion. Well, that's a wrap for today's video. I hope that those little wiring tricks that I've just shown you will be useful to you. And I personally, I've never tried this with InScale, but I think it is an option that you might want to consider trying out, because it would give you the ability to increase locomotive pickup, power pickup, without actually having to go to and trying to install a keep alive of some sort in your locomotives, which is very, very difficult with InScale. But, you know, if you do try this out, no matter what scale you do it in, remember my warnings. Do not try to make these connections on a live track. Always turn the power off to your track when you're putting your locomotives on it and when you're making those connections to the wiring harness, because all it takes is just a split second of inattention and you can blow a decoder. And like I said, I've got one on the way back to Soundtracks this week because that happened to me. So it's something that's very easy to do if you just get distracted for a second. Have a great week, and we'll see you here next week with another video from the DCC Guy. Bye now.